It is incomprehensible now to think that my tongue once did not break its back to curl around your name the way it does now. The letters previously just signposts for specific sounds, but now my mouth creases a certain way, like an overspent pound note, never able to sit flat the same again. It is incomprehensible that before those letters aligned like constellations mapping you onto my sky, that name was just a sound. Like any other kind of music is just sound until you've heard it enough to recognise it, and then it becomes a song. Your favourite song. You are my favourite song to sing. You are my favourite tongue twister I have ever managed to master. You stick between my teeth like pomegranate pips, and I spit, but I can't get rid of your taste. It is incomprehensible to think that I can use words that I used before you about anything else other than you without them being drenched in you. It is incomprehensible that there is anyone else out there with your name, because every letter in it belongs only to you.
Scarlett, what does poetry mean to you?
I feel like that's a very big question because it's always been a really big part of my life. I was always encouraged to read and write as a child by my parents, and it wasn't really until I went to university that I really took it seriously, and it kind of taught me that there's so many different ways to write. There's no set way to do poetry, and everyone's got a different voice, a different style, and I was really encouraged to find my own voice. And then when I graduated, I kind of pursued it because I knew it was something I was really passionate about, and it became this whole practice of it was almost a way to manage my emotions and figure out how I was feeling about things, and I could really express myself in a way that was kind of healthy. And when it came to things like mental health issues or heartbreak or love or anything really in life, I felt that I could process it through words in a way that helped me understand both myself and the world around me. So like I say, it's a very, very big question. I love reading it, but I think writing it really helps me express myself. This poem has a bit of context. I suffer quite badly with mental health issues, so I can be very up and very down. And the start of this year, I had a really difficult time, and it kind of got to the point where I was quite suicidal. I couldn't really see my life going anywhere with anything, and my sister, for my birthday, bought me some sunflower seeds because that's my favourite flower, and it kind of got to the point where I felt that if I could take care of something else, I possibly could take care of myself. Like, it kind of gave me a reason to get up, and it sounds really insignificant, that I was growing this plant, but I noticed the contrast between not wanting to take care of myself but really wanting to take care of this flower, and especially because my sister had bought it me. So I'm just going to read it. This poem's called Seed. I buried your beetle-back casing in the compost and read sonnets to your rooted sapling spine. We waited together, alone, just us, for strength to seep through your stalk veins, drawn from the vibrations rippled from my voice. There is something to be said about the shuddered turning of your heliotropic head, the boast of canary plumage and the pride in both our faces. I didn't kill myself that summer. I didn't think I'd outlive you, but I did. And today I buried your remains in the compost.
Is your mom gardening, or does she love nature as well?
Yeah.
You have poems about nature and your mother.
Yeah, my mom's been a huge influence on me ever since I was growing up. She's this little fairy hippie lady. She'd always write in the garden with chalk, and then when I'd come home from school, she'd be like, "Oh, the fairies have been," and I'd be like, "Oh, there's a message from my fairies." And we've always kind of grown up with that magical influence. Like, both me and my sister have, and we had a big garden, so we were always playing with the creatures out there. And I've always loved snails, and I've kind of brought that up with me, and I've now got a giant African land snail. My mum's love of nature has really influenced me, and she still influences me. She makes little needle felted little animals, like woodland creatures. Her page is called Jane's Loves Doves. Like it.
Absolutely. Yes. So, is there a certain moment in time when you remember starting to write?
You know, maybe in high school I was a bit of an emo kid, so I would listen to all this music that had like very deep lyrics, and I started like, you know, scribbling stuff down. When I went to university, I started off wanting to write fiction, and my lecturer said, "You're writing as though you're writing poetry. It's too flowery. Try poetry." And yeah, and this lecturer told me, "The more you write, the more you write." Which I thought was just mind-blowing, because it's true. You know, if you're just scribbling, you never know what path you're going to end up taking. So it was really that moment when my lecturer told me that my fiction was too flowery. Try poetry. Also, I think the more you read, the more you write. I know a couple of people who have said that they don't like to read because they don't want to pollute their own work with anyone else's styles, which I do understand, but at the same time, that's what you need sometimes. You know, you need different influences to help you discover new forms of writing, new structures. So yeah, I think it's a very good tool to just write and read as much as you can.
It depends on everybody's personality, but sometimes being in a group of people who love the same thing can be inspiring. And that brings us to the events that you've been running here at Café del Niño in Kennock. Yeah. The open mic events, poetry events, when did this all start and how did it start for you?
So they started a couple of years ago. There was a couple of events in Birmingham that I used to go to all the time, and I actually met some friends there who were also interested in starting a poetry night, and they already mentioned that they wanted to have it at Nino's, and I was like, oh, that's such a coincidence. My dad owns Nino's, some other people, and so it started that way. And then as time went on, it kind of just came down to me running it, and yeah, it's been brilliant. Honestly, it feels like a little family that we've got here, and I think the nature of these things, people really share very personal kind of issues in their poetry, so we all know each other really well without necessarily meaning to, so we all know each other's kind of like ins and outs, like dark secrets and things like that, without having to have that awkward conversation of, oh, look, this happened to me. We all kind of just absorb it through osmosis through their poetry, and yeah, it's brought everyone together, and I've made some of my best friends in the whole world through Nino's. I love it.